Welcome back. In a disturbing incident from Noida, an infant was mauled by 3 street dogs, resulting in the baby's death. Pictures show grave injuries to the infant's internal organs.
So the locals also have been staging protests against the administration after the incident, demanding ban on the stray dogs, citing danger to their safety as well, especially to the children. Now this toddler who was admitted to the ICU, and the child unfortunately died this morning, as what is being said, in the hospital after being in a critical condition the whole night.
Now the incident happened in a Noida housing society. Angry residents of the society gathered together and demanded the Noida authority, to take action in the matter.
कईयों बार अटैक हो चुके हैं। मैं 7 साल से आ रही हूँ, मेरा भी छोटा बच्चा है। हर बार अटैक होता है, कोई सुनवाई नहीं होती, कोई कार्रवाई नहीं होती। कुत्ते 10 से बढ़ के 25 कुत्ते हो गए अंदर। आप सोच सकते हैं, 25 सड़क के डरावने कुत्ते पेट्स को पकड़ लेते हैं। बूढ़े योगा कर ले होते हैं, उनको खींच के ले जाते हैं। सोते हुए बच्चे को पकड़ के ले जाते हैं। जान चली गई अब तो बच्चे की। चला गया था एक बार। हम सेफ है यहाँ पर। गेटेड सोसाइटीज में आदमी रहने आता है सेफ्टी के लिए।
तो आप लोगों ने इसकी आवाज पहले उठाई, नोटा उठाते
बहुत बार उठाई है, बहुत बार कुछ नहीं होता, कुछ भी नहीं हुआ अभी तक कुछ भी नहीं हुआ। हम लोग वेट ही कर रहे हैं। अभी भी हमें यही आश्वासन दिया जा रहा है कि
अटैक हुआ था, उसके बाद कंप्लेंट की गई थी।
हाँ, उस टाइम भी कंप्लेंट दी गई थी। उस टाइम भी मेनका गांधी वाली धमकी हमको दे दी गई थी कि अगर आप कुत्तों को डिस्प्लेस करेंगे तो हम आपको अंदर करवा देंगे।
कौन लोग धमकी दे रहे हैं?
ये यहाँ पे सोसाइटी में काफी एनिमल एक्टिविस्ट हैं।
और कोई अथॉरिटी से यहाँ पे आप लोगों की बात सुनने के लिए?
कभी भी नहीं आया। कभी भी वो लोग एनिमल एक्टिविस्ट मना कर देते हैं तो वो लोग चले जाते हैं।
यहाँ पे हम लोग पिछले 2-3 सालों से बहुत ज़्यादा कुत्तों के जो स्ट्रे डॉग्स हैं उनके आतंक से इफेक्टेड हो रहे हैं। और आज एक बहुत ही दर्दनाक हादसा हुआ है। एक हमारे यहाँ लेबर काम करता है, उसके बच्चे को कुत्ते ने ऑलमोस्ट इतना बुरी तरह जख्मी किया है कि बच्चे की सर्जरी चल रही है हॉस्पिटल में। और यहाँ प्रॉब्लम ये है कि कुत्तों को बाहर नहीं निकाला जा रहा, उनके लोग फीड करते हैं और वो सारे कुत्ते आदमखोर हो चुके हैं। ना नोएडा अथॉरिटी इसके ऊपर कोई काम कर रही है, ना कोई एक्शन हो रहा है।
Priyank is with us on the phone line. Priyank, this is horrifying to say the least, and we have been listening to what the residents have been saying, because they have been saying that there are so many dogs that it becomes impossible, leave alone for children, even to adults, for adults to go out.
Yes, Adi, and this unfortunately news is certainly showing that how these street dogs are not at all controlled. This incident happened yesterday when this 1-year-old boy was attacked by these dogs who were in a residential society. The RWA claim that they provide proper security measures, but this boy, who was son of a laborer who was working there, was also attacked by these stray dogs. The incident happened at Sector 39 of under 39 police station of Noida, and this particular apartment is Lotus Blue Ward Society, which is Sector 100. According to the local police, the information was received by him, and what they have been saying that these stray dogs were present there since long. This boy was attacked late last night and he was hospitalized, and today he has come to the injuries.
Now, Priyank, some residents are saying that there are animal activists who live in the society as well, and whenever somebody turns up to take action against the stray dogs, the animal activists return them. Now, one can understand their sentiments, their love for dogs, that they feed them, but now it is becoming life-threatening for some.
Yes, certainly, and in this case it was, and it is. What happens that in these kind of situation where these animal lovers comes and they start protesting whenever there is any kind of action against the stray dogs. They also need to make it sure that there should be proper vaccination, there should be proper medicine that should be given to the dogs. They should also be treated in a proper manner. We are talking about residential area. This is not the first of this incident where these the minor boys or the girls have been attacked by these stray dogs. But that too happening in a properly gated society, itself raises concern. This is a very prominent society which is in Section 100 of Noida. And after this incident, certainly there will be several voices which will come up that what was the civic authorities doing. The local administration also need to make it sure that dogs should be kept properly and they should be vaccinated so that any kind of fatality can be avoided. But the manner in which this attack happened on this toddler was very horrific. After the attack on this toddler, he was shifted to the hospital, and unfortunate news coming out from the hospital that he has come to the injuries.
Well, Dr. Sanjeev Bagai is also with us on the broadcast. Sir, this is All right, love for animals can be one side, sir, but when it comes to making the lives impossible, leave alone of toddlers and children, sir, even when it comes to adults, sir, the number of stray dogs that has been increasing, there are animal lover activists as well. Yes, their sentiments can be put on one side, sir, but it shouldn't be a cause of menace for the people who are living there.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. There are more than 40 million stray dogs in India, and more than 20,000 deaths in India per year because of stray dogs. And there are more than 15 lakh dog bites. These numbers are staggering. More than 50% of these dog bites happen in children, especially infants. There are two aspects of this. One is the physical injury. Perhaps because of the physical injury, the child succumbed to the injuries because of excessive blood loss and organ damage. But apart from that, even if these victims, unfortunately, after having a dog bite survive, they are at very, very high risk of rabies. And rabies is a known killer. So there are a couple of conjoint aspects which spill out of this. One is the responsibility of the contractor where the laborers work, where the safe environment of the labor workers is given. Point number two is the RWAs and the residents should not feed stray dogs, because this is actually precipitating a lot of injuries and rabies and spreading infection through these stray dogs. And last, most importantly, is the local civic authorities should round up the stray dogs, immunize them and rehabilitate them rather than they being in public view and causing these kind of fatal injuries. Extremely disturbing and extremely sad to lose a small child because of this unfortunate incident.
Absolutely, and multiple such incidents have come to fore. Now, many say that the problem or the challenge that the authority people face is that residents want the stray dogs to be removed, but animal activists don't allow that.
Yeah, so I think the animal activists should realize that the love for animals should not only be to feed them and leave them back on the roads. So if they are taking on the responsibility should be in full and holistic. They should contribute towards rehabilitation. They should contribute to adopt them. I am not against the animals being loved and cared for, but to lose a life to a stray dog is completely unacceptable. If the child did not succumb to the injuries, the child would have succumbed to rabies. This is an extremely, extremely important thing which the local civic authorities must step in.
Absolutely, because Dr. Bagai, the details are disturbing, sir. The child's intestines were pulled out, and that has been happening. The infant was mauled by dogs. But it is not just the problem with the stray dogs, is it, Dr. Bagai? Because we are getting also reports how even pets who are trained are actually attacking their owners.
Yeah, so I think the entire aspect of having pets at home or pets in residential areas has much changed. So it's not only the immunization, it's the taming and the training of the pets. It's to ensure that the neighbors don't get harmed. You're most happy to keep a pet, but your responsibility is also towards your neighbors and your friends and relatives which are in close by range.
Absolutely. Dr. Bagai, just for a minute, I'm interrupting you there because we have animal rights activist Kamna Pandey joining us in the broadcast. Kamna Pandey, like we've been saying, yes, one can understand, the passion of the animal activists, their love for dogs, the fact that they take care of them, feed them, but it's becoming life-threatening in several incidents. This is not the first time a 7-month-old toddler was mauled to death.
Yeah, it's a very unfortunate incident. It's not, sadly, the picture is painted as an animal versus human, as if we are somewhere against humans and we are for animals. It's not that. It's an overall compassion that everybody must have. Having said that, I would first want to know regarding this incident, how did dogs get access to a 7-month-old baby? First things first, how did they get access? Because even in a society, the society dogs do not get access to my 7-month-old child.
No, Kamna, just let me tell you the information exactly, then maybe you can make your points. Now, what is being said that there was some construction work that was happening at this gated society. There were laborers who were working there. One of them had this kid, 7-month-old toddler. Now, what is being said that the society residents themselves gave shelter to over 30 dogs in the basement of the society. There had been protests that had been taking place. People did not want that because obviously a basement is used for rather parking of their cars and not even sheltering the dogs.
Coming to that.
Yes.
I was just coming to that. My second point is, First of all, a baby is not to be left unsupervised. It goes against the child care norms as well. Even a rat would harm a baby, a 7-month-old baby, if left unsupervised. So,
well, who will supervise the dogs then? No, who will supervise the dogs then? Even when it comes to stray dogs, does the animal right activist only have the right to just feed them? What happens after that?
You'll have to hear me out. You'll have to hear me out. Because if I have to make a point, you'll have to hear me out. Otherwise, you'll not get the logic of what I'm saying. The first thing is that a child should not be left unsupervised. One. Second thing, it's the responsibility. A child is the responsibility of the parents. They need to take care of the baby and not leave unsupervised. Second thing, that when we say that do not harm animals, do not create a hostile environment, because if you create a hostile environment, the dogs are going to switch in a defensive mode.
What is the fault of the child? Kamna, what is the fault of the child?
No
okay,
fault.
Even if you tell me there have been incidents. No, wait a minute. I heard you, Kamna, I heard you. What happens if the child, probably returning from school, is out there alone, walking on the street or even playing?
Absolutely.
And if the dogs attack them, who is responsible?
The incident is something that animal rights activists need to showcase. That this is what we tell you. The poor child or a poor, an infant will pay the price for your wrongdoing.
No, I think you should also pay some attention to the background of the individuals, the parents involved, laborers. In most cases, take their children with them because they don't have the resources. Because they don't have the resources and they cannot afford to keep their child in some child care facility and pay for that. Dr. Bagai is also with us. He wants to come in.
That's all right, but
I believe Dr. Bagai should be given a chance to respond to you. Yes, Dr. Bagai.
Yeah, I think we are mixing too many aspects, and let's not be just one-sided in our view. I think anyone who, no one is actually creating a hostile environment for any animal. The question is, a residential building cannot be housing stray dogs, period. There should be shelter homes, and if someone wants to feed these dogs,
that does not go with our law. That does not go with our law.
Let him finish his point.
Can I please complete?
Kamna, please let him finish his point.
Ma'am, can I please complete?
For a better understanding of his perspective, let him finish his point.
Can I please complete?
Yes.
You must have the patience to listen, please. So I don't think residential buildings can be housing stray dogs. All people should be compassionate towards animals. But this is no fault of the laborers. All over India, laborers struggle because they are poor people, they work on daily wages, and they leave the children in small little areas where other laborers look after these children. It's not that the child is abandoned without anyone around, but a stray dog attacking a child is not the first time. We also know that stray dogs have attacked people in parks, on the roads. Myself in my practice, we see this very, very often, almost on a weekly basis. And I think strict norms need to be laid down. Feeding stray dogs is only encouraging them to come closer towards the residential areas where they can harm small children or infants or even elderlies. So it's not being impassionate or dispassionate about animals. I don't think there is a hostile environment for the animals, but I think there needs to be common sense and rationale. Otherwise, we will see these unfortunate incidents happening again and again.
You know, where does one draw the line, Kamna? What can be the solution? Because yes, there are very disturbing reports that listen to my point. I am saying there are two aspects. Kamna, there are two aspects is what I'm saying. We have seen very disturbing visuals of people attacking dogs, which is not right, which is not justified. And we've seen extreme pictures where 7-month-old child, infants are being attacked by dogs. So where does one draw the line and look for a solution?
I understand what you're saying, but you have to understand what I'm saying, that the cycle begins somewhere else. The cycle begins with human hostility is what I'm saying. This is a result.
How would a 7-month toddler, tell me what was the hostility on part of a 7-month toddler? The toddler's intestines were pulled out by the dogs. Intestines that were pulled out by the dog. How can you understand that? The child is not going to return. The child is not going to come back. But there needs to be, we've been speaking to residents, Kamna.
I asked you the question. Why?
The
And whose
residents
fault
have been
is it?
saying that this is the fault of the other residents who have been staying in the building, sheltering the dogs that have been just growing in
Really?
number.
I have been working for 30 years in this field, and I will tell you categorically that the fault lies with the people who create hostility. I have handled a case here in Thakurganj where the residents had hired people who would strangulate the dogs to death, and we have a video of that.
That is wrong. I am agreeing with you, Kamna. That is wrong. That is unlawful and that is wrong. I completely agree with you. But I want to know from you, what is the fault of that 7-month-old toddler? What is the fault?
Allow me to complete. And the very same dogs later, whatever survivors were there, they went into defensive mode, and later they attacked. 8 months later, they attacked for over 2 years. They were being killed. And that was not being talked about by any media. Finally, when the attack happened, everybody, every newspaper, every channel covered that attack.
Kamna, I think we need to look at all these incidents on a case-to-case basis. We need to look at all these incidents on a case-to-case basis. I said there are extreme pictures coming in. On one hand, you get these disturbing visuals of people attacking dogs, opening their skulls, beating them to death, which is not right, which is not justified.
It is
on
not
the
right
other
when you
hand,
see the visuals,
it's
but
inhuman.
what happens,
It's inhuman. But what happens? But what
all the
happens when the
time?
dogs get aggressive is equally disturbing.
The dogs will react. The dogs will react.
Will react to a 7-month
On a case-to-case basis, you need to look at things on a case-to-case basis.
Okay, I ask you, show me one aggressive dog in Khan Market. Show me one aggressive dog in a Shani Mandir.
Are we going to judge
Show
every
me
dog
one
based on
aggressive
how one
where
dog
they
behaves
are
in
not
Khan Market?
defensive?
No, you're not.
We're talking about stray dogs here, first of all.
Absolutely. We are talking about community dogs. That's the right word.
So you're saying that if the people there are not friendly with the dogs, are not feeding them, the dogs will then attack them thereafter. There are serious diseases that can also happen.
There is no... Which disease are you talking
the
about?
dogs even attacked even when they're unprovoked.
How many zoonotic diseases?
How was the child provoking the dog? Dr. Bagai, because I believe you can tell us, and Kamna, especially when it comes to there are more serious and life-threatening diseases that can happen after a dog's bite.
Yeah, so I don't think anyone, walking on the streets or a small infant has time to actually gauge whether the dog is going to be aggressive or not. So I don't think that argument holds any water. Medically speaking and purely medically speaking, there are three important aspects with a dog bite. One is you can have severe mutilation and injuries like this child has succumbed to. This is extremely sad. The second is we know that dogs, especially stray dogs, carry a high incidence of rabies, and I have just quoted those numbers to you. There are more than 15 lakh dog bites. There are more than 20,000 deaths in India annually. And stray dogs are only increasing. If you are going to feed them and give them an environment in which they can breed close to your house, there are bound to be incidents like this.
Okay.
And
Dr. Bagai, we also have Amrut joining us on the broadcast from the Dog Guru Services Private Limited. Now, we've heard both sides of this debate after the 7-month-old child was mauled to death by dogs. Amrut, what is your take on what really is happening? Who is at fault?
This is not an incident where we can blame one person. Primarily, it is a wholesome ecosystem that has to be blamed. To start with, like the doctor just mentioned, the gentleman mentioned, we presently looking at feeding a dog a stray dog, not feeding a stray dog. Not feeding a stray dog could also lead to a lot more dog attacks. Coming down to the narrow here, we're very sorry that parent loss. I am a parent of two, so I know how difficult it is to raise a and the child, and losing a child is absolutely not acceptable regardless of how much of a love we have towards any species of life. Now coming back to the incident here, why is it most of the times or maximum times the deaths that happens with young children or infants are only with either construction laborers or slum dwellers, people who are on the least in the revenue side, or the people who are the poorest of the slot. One, because parents are getting into work and the construction normally does happen on an empty place or a place where there is reconstruction happening.
No,
so
how is their fault? I mean, no, even if the children are playing in the society and within the society and out there in the park, there have been dog attacks that have been reported there as well. Would you blame the parents for that?
They've attacked elders as well.
They've attacked elderly as well. Amrut?
Now, are we generally talking about dogs' behavior, or are we generally talking about this particular incident?
We are talking about this particular incident because the residents there have come out and said that it is the other residents living in the same society who have been complaining about, because there have been so many stray dogs that have been sheltered in the society's basement. And they are unable to go out because they have been creating a menace. They have been attacking children. They have been attacking the elderly people.
So it is the NGOs and the municipal corporation whose responsibility it is. They get a lot of funds from elsewhere.
So they had contacted the Noida authorities to come and catch those dogs. Now, as far as animal activists are concerned, who are also there in the same building, who were feeding those dogs, they threatened them to leave.
See, the thing is, that's a confusion between animal activists and the NGOs, and resulting in innocent people and innocent children getting bitten. There should be an agreement, because animal activists have to understand that for a healthy coexistence, if you are going to support 10 dogs, out of which one is a menace maker, then very soon the other 9 are also going to be aimed at by the government, by the Supreme Court, or tomorrow by anybody. It could be the municipal corporation who would take them out and not return them. Though the law says that relocating a dog or euthanizing a dog or stopping a person from feeding an Indian stray is wrong, yes, it is. It is.
I think the authorities, the residents, the animal activists all need to sit together to find a solution. Like I said, there are two aspects of this: people unnecessarily getting aggressive, provoking dogs, killing them, beating them to death is not acceptable. At the same time, such loss of life is also not acceptable, and it cannot be justified by anybody, be it an animal rights activist. Thank you very much, Amrut, Kamna and Dr. Bagai, for joining us.
Thank you.